Well, hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC coming to you from the Man Cave Studio. Fat Guy Flies Studio. All right, this is the new Cavon L39 Skyfox that FPV builds and RC sent up to me for a review, or sent down to me for a review. And we worked out a great deal on it. And this, I think, from what I've been able to see on the internet and online, this is the first one in the United States to be unboxed, reviewed, and flown. So let's get to it. All I've done is take it out of the cardboard. I haven't done this right here yet. Now, they advertise it as an ARF, but that means plug and play. Plug and play. That's what we equate to in the United States as plug and play. So they say almost ready to fly. That means all you gotta do is put it together, put a receiver in it, and you're ready to go. 80mm EDF. Her wingspan is 1,088 millimeters, and she's 1,369 millimeters long. So, all right. Good looking plane. Oh, I like the fact that the wing is in one piece. That adds rigidity and strength. Metal trunnion, all metal gear there. Okay. This thing is packed so you can drop it off the back of a truck and not get any damage. Nice thing about Cavon is people don't realize Cavon's been around. They're real big in Europe, and they've been around for a long, long time. And they have their own brand of radio, motors, receivers, servos, everything's their own brand. So that's nice. Oh, wow. Very heavy duty ball link hinges. They're already ball links, actual slotted hinges. Now that actually is a pinch hinge on the aileron there. I love the detail. This is like really, really tight foam. I say it all the time. You may not be able to feel. You can maybe you'll see the cells, but you certainly can't feel them. Nice big honking lights on the end. Okay. Oh, two real nice quick connect ribbons. We'll make that very easily. 4 connection points. I love the detail and the feel of the foam. It's very, it just screams quality. And like I say, that is a pinch hinge, but it's laminate reinforced. And these are actually slotted mechanical hinges on the flaps. All metal. And the wheels got some squish to them. So that's nice. They got some squish to them. That's a very technical term, isn't it? That they got some squish to them. Oh, this is interesting. The elevator is going to act as a cover for part of the over the EDF unit. That's very nice. Big ol' honking heavy duty ball links on there. I like that. That's going to be a very simple build. So far, that's what it looks like it's going to be. All right, we've also got a 2-part coffin here. Oh boy. Oh boy. Uh-oh. That thing's falling here. Oh, okay. This is the EDF unit on the back half of the fuse. Well, that makes servicing that very simple. Well, that's an outrunner. So adding a KM model afterburner is going to have to use my outrunner technique if I even add one, because you have to build a frame and put it in the foam. So I may not add an afterburner to this one, even though it would look nice. I don't know. We'll see. That looks really good. I like the 3 spars there, joins in. A little bit of history about the SkyFox. Oh, all your information, kind of like a quick start guide. Oh, gives you all about the L-39 SkyFox. Gives you all the information about it. A modern training system, 4th and 5th generation aircraft, is comparable to the Gripen, the F-16, F-35, Su-27, Su-30, and others. Training capability from basic training through to lift, whatever that means. That's an acronym for something. Then it gives you all the information about the plane itself. Oh no, this is about the real one. Max airframe service life is 15,000 flight hours. Max range clean is 1,060 nautical miles. Oh wow, this gives you all the information about the actual real plane itself, and then a nice picture of it. That's a nice little touch. That's impressive. And of course, now here's actually about the model itself. So the L-39 SkyFox. I like that. One bag of screws. And the nice thing about it is all these screws are all the same size. Looks like a 2mm, possibly a 2.5mm hex drive. Puts the entire plane together. Now this is kind of cool. I like the fact that the rudder is in a Ziploc bag. I don't know why that impresses me, but it does. Mainly because I will save this Ziploc bag to put other stuff in. It's a big quality bag. Oh, that is so cool. Obviously the graphics are already a piece of tape there to hold that wire down. Nice heavy duty ball link there. This is also going to be like a tongue and groove with 2 screws holding it in. Like that. I like it a lot. All right. And then, of course, the main event. The main event. I get that from History of the World. The main event. Mel Brooks film. Very obvious what goes back here. Well, I guess we're going to have to glue that on. And that's fine. Big light right there. All your ESC and all your connections are all tucked away there. And clearly labeled. Elevator, rudder. Should be another one. Yep, 2 elevators and a rudder. And then, of course, your ESC is color-coded, but go ahead and run the motor up first before you make sure you're going the right direction. Some sort of control board here. Okay. Oh, a big honking carbon fiber reinforcement there. That's a good looking model. I love the pilots. Their detail. Alright. Oh, and this is nice. This is all plastic here. This inlet, that's a wear point on EDFs. Pretty strong hatch there. Big battery bay. A nice wooden shelf there that just screams to where you will put your receiver. Everything is clearly labeled. You got gear, elevator, flap, aileron, and rudder. All right. Hey, hey, hey. And I see a yellow wire coming off the ESC, which tells me this may have thrust reverse. We'll have to wait and see. Lots of times, even though I have the yellow wire, that doesn't mean it's been programmed for it. So, but this one's got some pretty big honking flaps. I may not even need to use thrust reversing. And that way I can get away with a 6-channel ESC, or a 6-channel receiver. XT90 battery connector, which is okay. Same thing as an XT60, just bigger. Alrighty, well there you go. Very small part count. Looks like the only thing we're going to have to do is glue on the back half, and then that will also be bolted on. We'll bolt on the top of the elevator, or this right here, we'll bolt on. Yep. Yep, that'll bolt on there. And that glues on the back. So, all right. Okay, well let's get our materials together and we'll start building. Alrighty. It does take a 2.5 millimeter hex head to put the entire model together. Alright, now what we're going to do is I went ahead and test fitted the back half. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to epoxy this in, and anytime you're putting two pieces of foam together, or foam to foam connection, always scar it up just a little bit. Okay. Go ahead and take this hatch off just in case I need to get in here. Okay. Make sure you're just going to mar that up just a little bit. Just give it a little more surface area. For the foam for the epoxy to get into. Okay, I'm using Tank Bond Clear 5-minute epoxy. Okay, nice thing about these type of epoxies is that all you do is you just break the seal, and then you spray it. They're already mixed, and you just push them down into a throwaway type cup like this is. Okay, that should be more than enough. Take your little cap that comes with it, put that back on the two leads there, provided you can, and then you're just going to mix that up real good. When you mix up epoxy, sometimes it'll start looking like white and bubbly and kind of a opaque. Well, that's what you want. You want it to kind of look that way, kind of opaque looking. Okay. And it's going to get a little warm. That's the chemical reaction in there. Okay. All I'm going to do, I'm just going to set this on the floor like that, to where I have that in there. And then I'm going to hold this end here with my hand. Okay. And all I'm doing is just kind of painting that, kind of dabbing that on there, so to speak. You don't need to go crazy with it, but you do want a decent amount on there. And I like to put it on the these actual spars themselves. Don't get too much on the outer edge because that may squish out on you. And you don't necessarily want that. All right, I'll set this off to the side. Oh, I grabbed the wrong end, or grabbed the squishy end. Okay. I'll put some on this side here. I mean, this is structural, so paint that on there like that. And that should be more than good enough. Have a paper towel ready. Okay. Go ahead and get it off the sides there. Now I've already test fit this, so I already know how it goes on there. There we go. Okay. Go ahead and wipe that epoxy off while it's still wet. Okay. You'll see that just fits on there nice and tight. Okay. And I know I'm not up close here. But go ahead and while your epoxy's still wet, take your paper towel and wipe off any excess that you may have squishing out the sides there. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to set this off to the side. Let that sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. Just to let gravity do its thing. Okay. And we'll be right back. I'm going to take a little break, get something to eat while that's working. Alrighty, we're back. The tail has had more than enough time to cure. Alright, let me show you what I have done. Okay. As you can see, I've installed the KM model afterburner. I put 2 beams. With KM model afterburners, they have little holes drilled in the side. So when you have an outrunner like this is, see how that's turning? You can take pieces of hard wire like push rods and glue, use a medium CA and just put them in those holes, cut them to fit. And see how this track right here? Slide it in and then pull it back into and have the end of the wire curved in towards the tail, and then push it in, and then it seats into the foam. And then I put a big drop of CEA on all 3 connection points. Now, had this had the tail on top, then I'd had another rod come up here and hook up to the top here. But there's only, the way it is, I just did the 3, but it's in there. It's not going to go anywhere. And then I've already went ahead and hooked up the ESC and motor to make sure that these 3 were going correct, that the motor was going the right direction, and it wasn't. So I had to swap the red. I swapped 2 of the wires out. I left the black in place. I swapped the blue and the yellow, and it's correct correction now. Okay, and that's all I did. Now, this does have reverse thrust. However, it doesn't have it enabled in the ESC. You have to go through a series of beeps and programming. It's a little bit complicated. I can do it, but it's a little complicated to try to explain, so I'm not going to explain it. I'm not going to do it. This is an L-39. She's got nice flaps. Doesn't necessarily need reverse thrust anyways. All right. You have your 2 elevators right here, and then you have your rudder. All right, sorry about that. I wanted to make sure that my audio was recording. I hate to, because I've done that before, done an entire assembly video, got the plane all put together, and realized I never had my mic turned on. So, which is stupid, because then I have to do a voiceover, and you can never get the timing right. And it's just better to do it all in one take if possible. All right, that has a very definite bottoming out point. Don't force it. It should screw right in there without any real difficulty. I will tell you this. This is a quality model. This really is. This is a new tool. And anytime you have a new tool, they're not quite broke in all that well. Actually, this makes more sense. I don't know why I didn't think about this. Now, because this entire assembly bolts on, I'm not worried about putting a servo tester to make everything centered, because I can very easily test it. I mean, if this stuff was being glued together, if this entire back half was being glued together, and I'd have a hard time getting to these servos, then I would test them ahead of time, but I don't have to worry about that. Okay, that has a very definite bottoming out point. Okay, go back to this. Okay, move you. All right, pull all your wires forward to where everything's going to be right here on this end. Okay, and then let's go ahead and hook everything up real quick. Remember, polarity. Okay, this top one here, this one here, is your rudder. So go ahead and find your rudder. It's labeled. Okay, remember, polarity is always light to light, dark to dark, no matter what kind of servo it is. Light to light, dark to dark. Okay, grab these elevator servos, leads, put them together. Should smash. They fit very tightly together, so that's a good thing. And if you have them wrong, well, then you have to take the whole thing apart and the whole back half together apart. Okay, make sure nothing gets pinched. Okay, and go ahead and kind of, I wouldn't want to tug on them wires. They're secure down, but see that at the end of this, it's going to fit in that little cubby right in there, but there's plenty of room for these wires. Okay, that's going to fit down that little cubby there. Make sure no wires are pinched or anything. Look down the tube if you have to. Yep, everything's got to be on top there. Oh, got a wire pinch there. That rudder. You know what? Let me see if I can go in there and pull them wires through. That would be a big help if I can do that. Oh, there's like a control board back there. Well, hold on. Hold on. Let me see. I may have them here. Yep. Okay, cool. You have to identify them in the bundle. Okay. See how that's moving in there? Yeah, there we go. Alrighty, pull them forward. You know what? Let's get another small zip tie. And I'm a big fan of zip ties, not bread ties. And let me tell you why. Okay? I'd much rather use zip ties for the simple fact they're non-conductive. Okay? They're not metal. So you're not going to have anything drop my zip tie. Turn this sideways where you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to grab this whole bundle of wires here with the zip tie so that they're not in the way. Okay, now my crimper tool cut off that excess there. All right, now shouldn't have any issue with any of them wires getting in the way now. Well, they didn't allow much for you, much room in there, but that's okay. That's actually a good thing. Why is that not wanting to? That is just not wanting to sit down in there. All right, well, let me fiddle with it, and I'll try to figure out why. I think this wire bundle here is causing the issue. All right, let me fiddle with it, and I'll let you know what happened. All right, I just had to keep fiddling with it and position it and reposition it until I got those wires in there just right to where they went, where this set down nice and flush, and then you just get them down nice and where you feel it bottom out, and then just use the pressure of your fingers to give it one final turn. And then you just had to keep fiddling with it and get that right combination to get that just right. Okay, now turn the model over. Okay, and you can see have our wing assembly here. You're going to take your wing. You have an opening right here toward not the back, but towards the front. Okay, you're going to droop down these two quick connect white wires. Okay, you see a black control board there. Okay, let the wing sit down in its saddle just like that. Looks like you're going to have one extra screw left over. Okay. Everything in this fits so tight. Everything is so tight on this model. All right, you start seeing the plastic around there starting to dent in. That's on there. Look at that seam right there. Man, this thing, I mean, it takes a while. See how it's disappearing now? Right. That is definitely on there. Looks like you're going to have 2 extra screws after all said and done. Just screwed one up. Oh goodness, this thing is like tight. Okay, now that wing is on there. Okay, turn your model over. All right, now these cables that you pulled through. Okay, try to identify. All right, this one here came from that wing over there, okay? And you've got these teeth on the side. You can see that the teeth are on the outside there, so FBI calls that a clue. That's going to fit in there just like that, okay? And these teeth here, these teeth, the openings are on the outside, on the outside there. Okay. And they will click into place. All right. Now, that wing is on there. Now, the receiver that I'm going to be using is an AR637TA. This one's already been upgraded to AS3X Plus. See that beautiful shelf right there? Well, that just screams for my receiver. However, I don't want the receiver hanging out, so I'm actually going to put this to the side. Now, this is my KM model afterburner. That's labeled ESC there. This is I put this on a Y to control the afterburner, so this is actually my ESC or my throttle wire. And on Spectrum, channel 1 is always throttle. Okay. Channel 2 is your aileron. So it's labeled aileron. Channel 3 is elevator. Elevator. Channel 4 is rudder. Rudder. Channel 5 is always going to be gear. And then channel 6 is aux 1 or flap. Okay. And in the Spectrum and almost all these receivers, your white wire, your yellow wire is going to go towards the top of the receiver. So I'm seeing nothing but light up here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take this receiver, put these wires here out of the way, put all this stuff here out of the way. Nope, I'm not going to be able to put it in there like that. So instead, I'm going to mount it on its side, just like that. Okay? There's nothing wrong with Spectrum being on its side. That actually stays in there real well. All right, let me get some Gorilla tape. I like using Gorilla brand double-sided tape. Okay. Or you can glue it in if you wish. Either way. Should have had a pair of scissors ready. Okay. Alright, got that ready to go. Take off my double-sided tape backing there. Maybe. Showing you the whole long, drawn-out process of this. Push them wires out of the way. Put that nice and flat flush on that wood tray, and I'm going to grab it on both sides and push that in. Okay, now that's not going to be in the way. Everything is hooked up. Now my wires here. I'm going to take one wire, okay, and I'm going to, see I got a big carbon fiber, see this line right here? That's carbon fiber. I'm going to take one of these and push it back towards the rear. Just going to tape it on the side there. Okay, that's going back there. And then this one, I think what I'll do is, well, I don't have enough room now. Need to get that. How far does that canopy? Okay, yeah. Okay, here's the problem. That canopy is going to sit down too far. So I'm going to need to move that one wire down. Well, anyways, you want to have your wires where they're 90 degrees from each other. So what I might do is just shove one underneath there. Well, one going back and one going, yeah, that's what I'll do. The feathery end is the signal end. So what I'll do, I'll take it and I'll loop that in and have that feathery end right there above that carbon fiber. Okay. Trying to get my fingers to work. Okay. All right, now see, I got that feathery end there, and I got one end going back there. So that puts them at 90 degrees, one going up and one going back. So now they're at 90 degrees from each other. We'll pick a piece of tape and secure that down some more. Tape don't hurt nothing. Okay. Now, make sure my hatch closes fine, which it should. Yep, that fits in there nice and tight. All right. There you go. Let me back you up. And that, folks, now is the basic assembly of the KAVAN L39 SKYFOX. That is a good looking model. I tell you what, that is. That's a really good looking model. Can't wait to fly it. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back. I'm going to fire up, get it all set up in my IX-14, and we'll go over my rates and CG and all that kind of good jazz. We'll be right back. Just stay tuned. We'll include that in just a minute. I just got to take a little break. Well, hey, folks. All right, this is the radio setup. Rates, radio, and CG setup of the all-new L39 Cavon sent to me by FPV Builds and Tech. Now, I'm just continuing this on, attaching this to the unbox and build, make it all one video. All right, now I have gone in there. As you can see, she's on the balance stand and she's CG'd perfectly. CG is 80 to 85 millimeters back from the leading edge root. That's where the wing touches, the wing first touches the fuse. And unfortunately, with this particular plane, that point puts it right on the edge of where the gear close on that door, and I don't want to be pressed on that door. So I've got the same corresponding marks on the top side, and as you saw, she CG just fine. I'm going to set her back on that, okay, just so I can prove it to you. Don't think I'm some trickery or anything. Put it right back on that spot. Okay. All right, and now we're going to close the gear. Now what I'm kind of hoping is going to happen is that she'll suddenly rock back on the tail, making her slightly tail heavy. No change at all. That's fine. That is fine with me. Okay, level, gear up, and gear down. And as you can see down there, That tail is not touching. Okay, so gear up, gear down. That CG is perfect where I've got the battery. Okay, so let's talk about where that battery is. And these are not. This is a different type of gear. I've never. It's like you can hear it going through the gears to make it work. Hold on just a second. Make sure my audio is working on this. And yes, it is. Okay, so now we know we got CG down. 8085 from the leading edge root is perfect. And you say, well, that's great and dandy. Oh, by the way, that stand, that CG stand I had it on, no, I'm sorry, that thing is discontinued. It's a Hobby King CG stand, and it's long been since discontinued. And I wish it wasn't, because it was only $14.95, and that is one handy tool. All right, now to get that CG, I have a 5900, which actually is the same weight as a regular 5000 SMC pack. All right, if you look at that wood tray right up front there, okay, see where I've got the word 5K on there? So basically 1/2 inch in from the very beginning of that wood tray, and that's where you'll put your 5000. Okay, that gives you the perfect CG. Okay, now let's talk about rates. Let me move the camera back just a touch so that you can get the full experience. I've got the rates, throws, and everything set up by the book. Okay, and then I'm going to tell you what that translates to in Spectrum, because I use Spectrum protocol. Okay, now the instructions are in several different languages, so you got to just find your English section or whatever language you speak and go from there. Okay, the low rate on aileron is 12 millimeters, which on Spectrum, what that translates to, low rate translates to 80% on Spectrum. On the high, what they ask for is 16, okay, and that translates to 100 on Spectrum. Elevator, the low rate on elevator is 14 millimeters up or down. That's what that looks like. And then a high is 20 millimeters up or down. And now in Spectrum, what that translates to, on the low is 90 and the high is 120. Now, yes, I could have gone in there and moved the clevis in or out to get better resolution, but I just didn't want to do it. So I did it electronically, so 120, okay? Rudder, however, I didn't follow their guide on rudder. I always use one rate on rudder. I've always done that, and that's going to be, in this case, because it had a very anemic steering in the front. So I increased the steering to 125, and when I've got 50% expo on that, because I took it outside, did a range check, excuse me, and she didn't have much steering. I increased it to 125, and I got plenty of throw on the nose gear now. All right, now let's talk about what I'm going to be doing for my forward programming. Oh, wait, talk about flaps real quick. Look at the flaps. The flaps saying this is also by the book. Flaps, first cut of flaps, in other words, your takeoff flaps need to be at 21 millimeters or 15% on Spectrum, positive, and then your landing flaps need to be at a negative 55 millimeters or 100% on Spectrum. Okay, and that also they call out for a mix on that. They call out for takeoff 1 millimeter of down elevator, and on landing 3 millimeters of down elevator, and on Spectrum that translates to 15% on takeoff and 20% on landing with a 2-second deployment. I guess you're not able to see the wing, okay? That's what that looks like. Takeoff, landing. Okay. Now, let's talk about what I'm going to do with my forward programming. You turn the motor off. My AS3X setting, I'm going to go ahead and set them now, and I will adjust accordingly. Okay, we have pretty big ailerons, so the roll, I think 40% is too much compensation. I'm going to reduce that down to 25%. Not that you can see that graphically now. Okay, on pitch, got a decent amount of elevator, so I'm going to reduce that to 40. And then yaw, got a big rudder, I'm going to reduce that down to 50. And we'll see how I like that as far as flying. So I'm going to go 25, 40, and 50 on roll, pitch, and yaw. My priorities on the default are all set at 140. Based upon my experience with jets, I like setting my priorities at 100 even on roll, pitch, and yaw. Okay. So I'm moving all that to 100 to 100 even on roll, pitch, and yaw. Now there is a way that you can go in there and fly the plane and lock and get it trimmed to where you like it and lock those settings in. That's good and bad. What I like to be able to do is adjust my settings on the fly. What I'm setting out is the maximum amount that it will be corrected. Okay, stop lock. I'm going to increase it from 35 all to 50 on roll, pitch, and yaw, because that's what I normally do. Because I like a nice crisp stop. And on release rate, I never mess with that or do anything with that. I'll leave that alone. I only have a 6-channel receiver, so I can't do nosewheel gyro. That's why I've got that 50% of expo to kind of help with that steering. Okay. The only other thing that I'll be doing is programming in my audio callouts, which I make all custom specifically for the plane, custom callouts, and giving her a clear coat of my polyacrylic Minwax. Let me show that to you so you get the right stuff. I like using polyacrylic, okay, clear gloss, and that will really protect this plane and bring out that shine. Okay, make sure you get the acrylic. Okay, now to show you, I don't know if I showed you my battery in there or my receiver in there. I have an AR637TA. I got it hot glued right there on the side. I've got one antenna actually going into the foam back here, and then one looped around at 90 degrees. That's where I've got the battery. That gives me the perfect CG. And all right, so next time you see this plane, she'll be all shiny, and we'll do a maiden flight on her. As far as making her bench trim, everything, the only thing I had to do was this one flap. Okay, it would not allow me to adjust this one this one in or out. So what I had to do is I actually had to cut the foam out a little bit, undo the arm, reposition the arm, and tighten it back down. And unfortunately, I had to cut into the foam to get the screwdriver in there. But I just hot glued or glued back in that piece of foam so that way you can't even see it. And I like this gear. This gear just seems strong. Listen. Takes a while. And these tires, they're firm, but they've got some give. They do got some give. I took her out and did a range test down my street. It's pitch black because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I know I probably shouldn't be running this, but it's not that loud. But I will tell you, this has one of the strangest soundings EDFs I've ever heard. It sounds really cool at full speed, but it sounds like an out-of-tune radio whenever it's just spooling, just in idle and stuff. Listen to it for just a second. Okay. Listen to this EDF. But I can see that impeller down there, and there is no vibration. There is no movement whatsoever. And I can see it clearly. And everything looks just everything looks absolutely locked in and no problem at all. So, and when I was putting the afterburner, everything's nice and solid. So I think this is just how it sounds. So, all right. Well, there you go, folks. Thank you so much for watching. And FPV Builds, thank you for working a deal. He gave me like a 30 or 40% discount on it. I mean, he couldn't just give it to me for free. I mean, he is a one-man show trying to make it. But I checked the internet again today, and today's, I don't know what today is, the 15th of June, I believe, and I'm still going to be the first in the United States to review the, I think it's Rick's Jet Garage. I think that's him. He's the only other one I've seen do it, and of course the Sylvanian brothers, they have theirs. But in the United States, I think I'm the first. So we're going to get her out, and we're going to let you know what I think. And but so far, other than having to reposition that tail an awful lot, and then having to reposition the trim on the flap, that's the only hiccups I've had. Other than that, it went together really, really well. All right, well, folks, thank you so much for watching. God bless y'all. God is good. Anthony, thank you so much for the jet. We're going to get out, and we're going to get her out, and we're going to get a nice maiden for y'all very, very soon. God bless y'all. God is good. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends, and then L39s. Bye. And that's a KM model afterburner there, by the way.